I stopped my binge eating without spending years in therapy. You don't need years of therapy to stop your binge eating. You need to rewire your brain and shift your thinking around food so that you no longer have food being so controlling in your life. Your diet culture thoughts are controlling your decisions with food and how much you eat or what you eat. You have spent years and years and years and years and years dieting. You have probably gone through 21-day fixed portion containers, keto, Beachbody, intermittent fasting, tracking calories and macros, meal plans. And now in your brain, you have this vision of what a perfect meal should look like, what a perfect day of eating should look like. I know I did for sure. Like, I went through so many different diets, and I started off with meal plans. And I remember my coach saying like 4 ounces of chicken and half a cup of carbs. And for a snack, you can have 10 to 15 almonds. And so that's what I believed is like, if I want results, I have to eat exactly like this. I can't have 17 almonds. I can't have 18 almonds. It needs to be 10 to 15. And even then I'm like, is it 10? Is it 15? Like, I needed to know exactly. And so that was the majority of the plan. And so I thought, like, me eating an apple. No, I fell off track. Me wanting some blueberries for breakfast, if that was not on the plan, in my head, I'm like, well, this isn't perfect. Like, this is not me sticking to the plan. And this is just one person that gave me this meal plan, but you are putting this one plan or this one diet on such a high pedestal, like this is the way to eat. But there's so many different ways to eat. Like, I've done even intermittent fasting. I've done keto. I've done all the different diets. And you might look at one person and be like, whoa, like they saw great results with this diet. And that's probably because they could, number one, stick to it. They don't have an unhealthy relationship with food. They don't binge. But also, number two, it doesn't feel hard for them. For example, I shared this in the other podcast episode, but like my parents don't do intermittent fast. My parents do not diet at all, but they don't eat until 11 a.m. because they just don't get hungry at that time. So I used to look at them and be like, well, this is how I need to eat. But I would be so hungry first thing in the morning. So it wasn't meant for my body, right? Also, like, I work out and I lift weights, and my parents work out, but they don't lift weights, right? So it's just so different from person to person. And even with the 21-day fixed portion containers, I felt like I was a little bird. I'm like, who eats this little? I was like starving. And I was like trying to put my food into this little container. I was like, this is crazy. But how do you feel when you don't stick to it? I felt like, well, what's wrong with me? There's millions of other people doing this 21-day fixed portion container diet thing. Like, what's wrong with me? And there wasn't anything wrong with me. It's just our bodies were not meant to diet. And especially at the time, I was struggling with the most with my relationship with food when I was trying all these diets. And this is how it usually works. The people who diet are the people who have an unhealthy relationship with food 99.9% of the time. Because when you're binging, what do you need to do? You're like, I need to get back on that diet. I need to get back on track. You believe that you need to get back on track, but you don't need to get back on track. You need to actually get to the root of your binge eating and rewire your brain. And this is exactly why I created the Root and Rewire membership, to help you actually get to the root of your binge eating and help you rewire your brain out of these habitual cycles. Because if you just keep on hopping from, diet to diet, it's like, well, I know a lot of you guys aren't dieting. You've been listening to the podcast. You're probably inside of my membership already, or you're inside of Conquer, or you're in the academy, and you're done with diets. But it's so easy for those thoughts to kind of like sneak in and be like, oh, I feel so uncomfortable in my own skin, or I keep binging. Like, I need more control. I need to be more disciplined with my food. You don't need to be more disciplined with your food. I promise you. I promise you that's the last thing that you need. You don't need more control around your food. Like, you need to become less impulsive. You need to get back in tune with your hunger and fullness so it's easy for you to stop when you're full. Trying to control your food more isn't going to help you stop binge eating. It's actually going to exacerbate your binge eating. So I never spent years in therapy. In fact, I went to 3 sessions and I literally felt like I was wasting my time because I just did not feel understood. Like I literally was so shocked. And I'm saying that this with so much love because this is just my experience. And I know I have so many clients that come to work with me and they've either worked with therapists in the past and, on some other things, and now they're like really ready to tackle binge eating specific, and that's when they work with me. Or I do have some clients that I'm currently working with who, alongside of therapy, which they're doing for more general stuff, they're coming to me for more binge eating specific coaching because they're like, my therapist just doesn't really understand this whole binge eating thing. And that was my situation. And I actually went to like somebody who specialized in like eating disorders. And I thought like, here's a tangible tool. Like this is what you can do when you feel the urge to binge. Oh, if you're feeling guilty, do this. I got 0 action steps, nothing. And so that's when I was like, okay, nobody gets me. Like what the heck? Nobody understands me. Nobody gets me. And that's not true. It's just, again, like having support from somebody like myself who has gone through binge eating and who gets you. Like my clients hire me. My clients are like, I am so glad that I'm working with you because you're the only person that gets it. You're the only person who actually gets me. You're the only person that makes me feel seen and understood. And that's because I've gone through it. So you don't need to spend years in therapy, because I know it can be so frustrating when you're like, just tell me what to do to stop my binge eating. And they're like, well, how was your childhood? Or like, how's your stress? How's your relationships? And sometimes it's just so frustrating. It's like, just tell me what to do, And again, this is why I created the membership. Inside of the Root and Rewire membership, there's 3 main components. Number 1 is the tangible tools. Like you need to learn how to stop feeling guilty about what you're eating. You need to stop, restricting your food. You got to release your food rules. You need to rewire your brain. You need to learn how to become less impulsive with food. You need to learn how to control your cravings. Like all of those things, you need to stop secret eating. And there's tangible tools that you can start implementing right away. So that's the first part. The second thing, like I said, you need support from somebody who gets you. This will be a game changer. Trying to learn from somebody who has never gone through binge eating is not going to be a good time. I've done it. I've tried. And it's like you're trying to explain binge eating to them and they're like, oh yeah, I overeat sometimes, and you want to rip out your hair and you're like, you don't freaking get it. I'm not just overeating. Like this is a problem. And I'm not going to explain to you how bad the problem is because you're probably going to look at me like I have 25 eyeballs. But then you come into my programs and you're like, whoa, okay, for the first time in my life, I finally feel understood by you. And then the third part is a community. I have the most incredible community in the entire planet. My community is so supportive. You come in, everyone's welcoming you with open arms. Everyone's like, this is the best place on planet Earth. Like, you will be surrounded by people who get you. Like, no therapist, partner, sister, parent ever will, because these people are actually experiencing exactly what it is that you're going through. This is why my clients see great results and they stop their binge eating, because they have the tools and they're action takers. They're so committed, so they actually put in the work. Then they have my support, right? In the membership, you get monthly coaching with me. And then they have the community. This community is popping. Like, you share your wins, you share your struggles, you share like, hey, this is what I'm going through. Somebody else is like, hey, I'm experiencing that as well too. Or, hey, this is a win, I haven't binged in X amount of days. Or, I was able to go out for dinner without feeling guilty. You share your wins and everyone just celebrates you inside of the space. And you need that. I'm sure you're probably not celebrating yourself enough right now. And you need that celebration. Like, you celebrating yourself is proving to yourself, like, I am making progress. And that's how you stay in momentum. This is how you sustain binge-free weeks and binge-free months long term. You constantly celebrate yourself. You're constantly surrounded by other people who are conquering binge eating, which is proving to yourself, like, I can do this as well too. So you don't need years of therapy. You need to stop your food rules because your food rules are causing you to binge. And you need to be surrounded by a community of other people who get you. You need your tangible tools. So if you have not yet joined the Root and Rewire membership, this is the place to be. You get instant access to over 14 hours of trainings on how to stop secret eating, how to stop thinking about food, how to stop emotional eating, what to do before, during, and after a binge, how to prioritize your health and fitness goals while still healing your relationship with food, how to master your habits, how to rewire your brain, how to control your crazy cravings. Like, you get instant access to that. We do a monthly masterclass on how to improve your relationship with food, a monthly Q&A with me, and again, the most incredible badass community. And also for July and August, we have our accountability challenge where basically you are really working through your mental health habits and just being a woman of your word, setting higher standards for yourself, being super consistent with habits and routines that make you feel your best, like getting up on your first alarm, less screen time, having a bedtime, like just doing things that are going to make you feel really good, like respecting yourself. So that's inside of the membership. And I actually just messaged one of my clients who is coming up on her 6 months inside of the membership. And I just wanted to see how she was doing. And she messaged me and she was like, well, the funny part is where you talk about celebrating your success, I have actually had a huge one today. And she said, I'm 75 days binge free. 75 days binge free. And she's like, this is the longest time I've ever experienced, and I can't even remember. And she was like, your programs truly changed my life. I never thought I would get to this place. Like, I'm so proud of myself for how far I've come. And she said, I've truly been rewiring my brain. It feels so different. It feels like the real me. And this is literally what's going to happen for you. Like 75 days binge free and actually feeling like her true authentic self. Like, that's the best feeling, because right now you might feel like you're living a double life, where in front of your coworkers or in front of your family, it's like maybe people are thinking that like you're so healthy and you're so fit and you're so this and you're so happy and whatever. And then behind closed doors, you're like eating in secret, or you are just having all these constant food thoughts and you feel completely out of control with food. And you're like, yeah, that's actually not who I am. And the best part about healing your relationship with food is you get to step into your most authentic self. Like, you get to feel like yourself again. And that's the greatest feeling in the world. So I'm going to leave the link down below for you to join the Root and Rewire membership. This is the place to be. The community will welcome you with open arms, and I cannot wait to support you towards conquering binge eating.